Okay, we are live, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. And we're going to give it a couple minutes. We're not going to spend too much time on The Young and the Restless because it had a lot to do with the 30th anniversary of Phyllis Summers. But we're going to give her a shout out, of course. But I'm going to give it a couple minutes to everybody start strolling in here. Hey, Grace. Hey, Aisha. Angela, Keita, Crystal, Melissa. Welcome in. Daycare with the Kids. What's up? Happy Friday, you guys. Yes, TGIF. We made it to the end of the week. Let's see. I'm going to wait till everybody get in here. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome, you guys. Hey, Mari. Hey, Miss Welder. Tina. Melissa Spencer. Welcome, you guys, to Soap Corner Talk, where we're going to discuss a little bit of The Young and the Restless, not a lot. And, of course, The Bold and the Beautiful for October 18th. Pretty interesting episode on Bold. I just think they wasted too much time on certain scenes, but you know what? I'm not going to, we'll get to that point. But let's go ahead and kind of briefly talk about Y&R. We got to send a shout out to Michelle Stafford, who, for the most part, has been in the role of Phyllis Summers. She started out the role October 18th, 1994, which is now officially 30 years. And, of course, we got a lot of flashbacks. And they tied it into this whole storyline with Sharon. I was wondering what they were going to do. Was this just going to be a bunch of flashbacks, whether they was going to tie it in with a current storyline or whatever, you know. But how it all started, of course, with Daniel, being under investigation, and he gave gave the missing pieces of the story, which now includes Sharon. And the moment that Phyllis heard the name Sharon, she was like, wait, what? Sharon? What's Sharon got to do with this? And so, of course, Daniel filled her in on what Chance told him about Sharon, saying how she came to the house to apologize, and that she also meaning Heather, told Sharon about them being in a fight. And, of course, Phyllis didn't believe any of that, because she was like, why would, out of all people, Heather tell Sharon anything about your personal relationship business? That didn't sit right. And throughout this whole episode, Phyllis brought it back to point to Sharon. Now, of course, nobody wants to believe that, because would Sharon be capable of it? And so it led into some of the stories, like when Phyllis fell down the stairs and she was in a coma for a year, I think it was. And then that's how we got Gina Tognani. So I think that's when Phyllis left the soap, and that was her exit. They didn't want to end the character, but they brought Gina Tognani on to play Phyllis before Michelle Stafford came back in 2021, I think, something like that. But it was pretty interesting. We saw a lot of different flashbacks, the history with her and Danny Romalotti, the history with her and Nick Newman, because obviously Danny and Nicholas is the dads of Daniel and Summer. But some of that stuff, in my opinion, even though I like, the flashbacks was okay. I'm not a flashback girl. If you ask Keisha is not a flashback person. Anytime they tend to do an episode with all flashbacks, she could take it or leave it. And I'm kind of right there with her. But I wanted to check it out. I knew, I was wondering how they were going to tie current storylines with it, But the whole story with Sharon being at that house, it tied into Sharon and that flashback of her falling down the stairs. Now, the way that they're describing it, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if I can quite remember, she made it look like Sharon pushed her down the stairs, but I think they were fighting over something, and she let it go. And when she let it go from the force of the release, she fell down the stairs. So let me know if I was correct, because the way that they made it sound like as if Sharon pushed her down the stairs, I remember them fighting over something. And they were trying to, I guess she was trying, I don't know. That was a long time ago. I know one of y'all got the details on that. She tripped herself. Okay, so that's what I thought. I thought that she didn't just push Phyllis down the stairs. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wait a minute. You telling that story to make it look like, because yeah, y'all was fighting over something else. I think it was about paternity or something. They were fighting over a paternity result, I think it was. I'm trying to remember the storyline. Fighting over lipstick, and Phyllis tripped. That's what I thought. She made it look like that Sharon pushed her down the stairs. And that's why I was giving Phyllis a side eye. Remember when she pushed me down the stairs? I'm like, wait, hold on. And then they showed the flashback, and I'm like, yeah, ma'am. Phyllis, she didn't push you down. Exactly, Sandra. Phyllis lied about pushing Sharon. About Sharon pushing her. Exactly. I'm like, that's not how that went. So you starting out lying already, girl. Come on now. Hey, did you all notice? Check this out. Now, I know that was some years ago, right? I think that was, God, it had to be in the teen years. Somewhere like 13, 14, something like that when that happened. I gotta remember. But did you guys notice that the same stairs that Phyllis fell down was the same stairwell that Sharon dragged Heather down? Did y'all notice that? Now, obviously, they don't think we be paying attention. But I was like, they look like the same stairwell that Heather was dragged down by Sharon. That, you know what, Sonia Coleman, she said, I think they were fighting over a piece of paper, a copy of Summer's DNA test, or a copy of Sharon's red light ticket. They were fighting over, I remember the DNA test. But it wasn't because she took her hands to her back and just pushed her down the stairs. Yes, Sonia said it. She said, I noticed the stairs too. I'm like, that's the same stairs that Heather was dragged down. But obviously, you know, they used the same set. I guess if they had to find a pair of stairs to use, why not find the same pair of stairs, right? I also thought in this, to you good because I didn't pay too much. Sandra, listen, there's some other things I paid attention to on Bold, and we'll talk about that too. But before we get there, because we're not going to stay on this whole thing that long with Phyllis, you know, because it really was all about her and her past history over 30 years. But yeah, Mari, Phyllis has always tried to make herself look good. You are right about that. Stairs from the studio. Exactly, Vicky. They was like, okay, where's the stairs? Oh, yeah, we're going to use the stairs in the back of the main building that we normally use. I know Phyllis fell down those stairs. We might as well drag Heather down those stairs. We're just going to use the same stairwell. Anyway, Mari said it was boring. It was also TMI. Because, I mean, yeah, she's 16 and all this time, and writers, don't try to gaslight us, because when she came on the scene, what was it? Is it late last year or early this year? She was like 13, 14 years old. So, I mean, I know they soror kids, but when she was like, I'm 16, I'm like, wait a minute, you was just 14, ma'am. What are you talking about? And I think I remember her saying that she was 14 earlier this year. And I'm like, boy, I tell you, the writers always try to play with us. I'm like, 16? Okay, I guess they sorar'd you in a matter of less than a year, so okay, well, let's go with that. But even 16-year-old, I don't know if, I mean, Phyllis got a very interesting history. And Summer brought it up when she was going back, sleeping back and forth between Nick and Jack. And that's how the question of paternity, she didn't know who the daddy was. I'm like, I guess you can be brutally honest. Hey, Jacqueline. Exactly. They said she was 14. They told us earlier this year she was 14, and then all of a sudden in yesterday's episode, I'm 16. I'm like, wait, when? Did you have 2 birthdays in 1 year? Okay, I guess. Because that was the biggest part of the conversation about being like 7 years younger than Faith, which Faith is 21, which we did hear that earlier earlier this fall. She was saying how she's 21. And that Faith was supposed to be like 7 years younger, which would have put her at 14. So I don't know what they're doing. They always be trying to play with folks like we not paying attention. Daycare with the kids says she ain't no doggone 16. Exactly. I didn't know she was 16. Exactly, because last year, when she had a crush on Johnny, she was, Johnny is 13 at the time. So obviously they aged her up very quickly between earlier this year and today's episode. I'm like, okay, whatever, writers. She's 16. Let's go with that. Hey, Sandy. So yeah, it was an okay episode. I'm gonna, I'll give it a B because I want to give. I'm not gonna dwell on that too much longer, but I'm gonna give it a B just to give kudos and a shout out to Michelle Stafford for doing almost 30 years, and of course the character of Phyllis Summers, 30 years, and also Sharon. Sharon got her 30 years in last month. Sharon Case. And Michelle Stafford, and the Phyllis Summer role got her 30 years in as of today. Phyllis is way older than Nick and Sharon. That is true. I mean, Michelle Stafford, I think she just turned 59 this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Sharon Case is 53. And Josh Morrow is probably right at 50, 51, something like that. But I gotta say, and excuse me, I was drinking a little bit of my water. I gotta say, though, that Michelle Stafford, she got a body of a 20, 30-year-old. The girl the dresses that she wears fits her figure perfectly. She got a body of a 20 or 30-year-old. 59, yeah, okay. So, kudos, and much love, and shout out to Michelle Stafford, a.k.a. Phyllis Summers, and 30 years on The Young and the Restless. All right. Let us now talk about the bold and the beautiful. So we're going to get the Hope and Carter last, but we got to get Liam and Will and Bill out of the way because they could have dealt without that, but obviously it's a way to let us know that Liam is still going to fight for Hope, which the girl already told you no. She's not interested. She said, let's move on. Why, oh why, would you continue to push the envelope and say, I'm going to continue to go after her? Well, sir, you might end up with egg on your face. And even Bill was like, y'all been divorced a long time now. Why do you want to bark up that tree? And Will, why are you giving relationship advice? Exactly, Aisha. Liam is annoying and is not going to work. He gonna get his feelings hurt. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, do we have to go through this? But maybe, you know what? He's been in the center focus of a triangle for over a decade. So now he's throwing his hat in the ring when she's already interested in Carter. Maybe he's about to get his feelings hurt again. So he already tried going back to Steffy, and that didn't work because she is Team Finn. Now he's going to try to go get back with Hope and look like she's about to be Team Carter. So, yeah, he's about to get his feelings hurt. And I ain't mad at that because it's like, dude, move on. Now, I do know that Ivy is coming on the scene next week. Maybe we might get maybe that'll change his direction or whatnot. But I don't want to see him in this whole triangle with Carter and Hope. I'm like, let's just see what Carter and Hope gonna do. Liam need to go take several seats. That's what he needs to do. Exactly, Angela. He's so used to just kissing on folks and chasing, and women these two ladies just fall at his feet. I will say Brooke and Taylor need to learn from their daughters to turn your waffler down. But obviously, they're not going to do that. So we got to deal with this triangle. But yeah, hopefully Ivy comes in and that would shift his focus. I would be okay with that. Yes, I would. All right, enough about that. Steffi is about to get on my nerves. Now, I get it that she can't understand what the issue is and why Carter was so hard pressed in this meeting to save Hope's line. She was like, something's off. And that's okay if she's wondering, but please don't interfere with nothing that's none of your business. You got a whole man over there. If you were going to have issues with keeping the line, then you should have said so in the meeting. Don't sit up there after the fact and be like, well, you said yes. Okay, we'll keep the line. The line lives to see another day. But then you complain about it to your husband. That ain't none of his business. Just like he can't talk about his patients. I mean, it's a different type of business. I guess she can talk about it. But it's like, don't give it. You already said yes, Steffi. You already said you're going to keep the line. You either stand by your decision or go ahead and cut the line. Wondering what's going on, and I have a feeling that she's probably going to figure it out and automatically blame Hope that she's trying to seduce Carter to keep her line. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, here we go. And she's probably going to try to say, Carter, you know what? I'm giving you an ultimatum. Either you give us the truth about Hope's line or you're out. I'm just making up something, you guys. I don't know if she'll do that or not, or if that's where the writers are going. But she doing too much. Exactly, Aisha. I'm sitting there like, mind your own business, girl. You already said yes to keeping the line. So shut up and deal with it. Or else call a meeting in and override Carter. You have prime opportunity to turn Carter down. You the CEO. It didn't matter what Carter said as the COO. You could have said, I hear you, Carter, but no, this is not working. But no, you said yes, so deal with it. Steffi will figure. I know Sandy. I know she'll figure it out. And I mean, but here's the thing. Who is that? Somebody said that in the chat. Steffi ain't wrong. Well, Tanisha, I partly agree with you. Because yes, of course she's not wrong that something's going on between those two. But I think where she might go wrong is thinking that Hope purposely sought out to seduce Carter to keep her line. This is all on Carter. Carter was the one starting out talking about how he fantasizes about seeing her in her underwear and all this kind of stuff. That was him, because right before that first scene where they introduced the whole Carter and Hope thing, when we knew it was coming from based on spoilers, She was thinking and daydreaming about Finn. That was the last daydream that we saw from Hope about Finn, which was right before Carter came in, and she ain't been thinking about Finn since. So it wasn't her seeking Carter out. I think it was an opportunity that fell in her lap because Carter is interested in her. That's the thing. Oh, we're going to talk about that, Cheryl. Cheryl said, I like to know when Carter developed feelings for Hope, because I got a lot to say about that. But before we go into that, the meeting was over. Brooke thanked Carter for everything and the conversation that they had and how he's looking out for her and all of this. And then Brooke goes over to Il Giardino to tell Deacon all about it. That, I don't know what's going on with Carter, but it looked like he's in Hope's corner. And of course, Deacon is like, oh yeah, she's going to be fine. I didn't have any business in my restaurant and it was slow and now it's booming. Hope is going to do the same thing thanks to Carter. And she was like, yeah, it's nice for me to be in Hope's corner. And now it looks like she got Carter in her corner. Yeah. So now let's talk about the remaining part of this episode. So when I looked at the spoilers at the beginning of this week for October 18th, and I knew that they were pushing these two together, they said they were going to have a romantic night. Now, I'm kind of lackluster on what we got today. We might get more on Monday. But I was kind of lackluster on what I saw because of the fact that most of the conversation in their apartment, which was early in the episode. So I was like, okay, well, maybe we might get a lot of good content from these two, because around, I think, about the 40-minute mark, and which was 10 minutes after the show started, they were at his apartment. And I'm like, okay, so what we doing? And he had the fireplace lit and everything looked so nice, and because I'm like, oh, they going back to his place. Okay, cool. What we doing? They got into this whole conversation about Liam, and I'm like, why are we talking about Liam? We don't need to talk about Liam. Now, granted, Carter was like, yeah, I know Liam wants you back. And she said, well, yeah, he did ask me. And he said, well, what did you tell him? And she said that, I'm a divorced mom and, we moving on. And I don't think I want to be in that anymore. Now, key word, she didn't say I don't want him anymore. And see, this is why I always pay attention to details. Because she said, I don't think I want to be in that anymore. And I'm like, writers, are you trying to leave that door of opportunity open for some time down the line? Obviously. However, that was enough for Carter to get closer. And he's talking about, now this is the part that got me. Okay. All right. So check this out. Carter said, and I want to make sure y'all got y'all ears to your phone as you listen to me, if you got your headphones on, or if you're watching me from your tablet or laptop or whatever. But listen to this and what we saw on the screen. Y'all ready? So he tells Hope that he remember looking at how beautiful she was when they were in Rome at that fountain. Right? When she was modeling that dress. Okay, so we're going to stop right there. If you guys remember that scene was focused around the beginning of Thope. Thope. So Thomas and Hope. Thomas was there. And if you kind of remember, that whole scene was focused on Thomas and Hope. So Thomas was watching her, and then she would look over at Thomas, and he would give a big old smile. Did you guys notice how they re-edited that whole scene? First of all, we got part of Thomas's shoulder. They didn't even include Thomas in the scene. We saw a little corner of his shoulder, and then the whole scene focused on Carter watching her. And I'm like, Only thing I remember Rome, and Bree had to jog my memory earlier after this episode aired. Carter was only there to help Ridge get to Brooke by looking through that keyhole. That's the only time I really even remember Carter remotely having anything to do with Rome, was helping Ridge try to rekindle his relationship with Brooke and looking through that keyhole. Exactly, Angela. She said, I remember that scene. I'm wondering how it became about Carter. That scene was totally focused on the beginning of Thomas and Hope. And then they take the same scene, carve out Thomas, because you can see where they cut his shoulder. Part of his shoulder was still in that scene, even though it was on Carter. And then when they did a different view of Carter, we got the side of Thomas's head. And I'm like, y'all really trying to carve Thomas out of here. Are y'all trying to tell us something? Are y'all really trying to tell us something? That, yeah, y'all don't even want us to focus. Y'all gonna make that whole scene and turn it around and make it about Carter? Exactly. I was like, oh, no, they didn't. Y'all trying to make this, y'all gonna give Carter Thope scene? Oh, y'all really want us to give up on Thope. Big time. Yeah, Aisha, go back and watch that again. And I'm like, wait a minute. I wonder if they're going to show Thomas. They tried to cut him out. They couldn't do a good job of it because of the fact that it was about Thomas and Hope. It had nothing to do with Carter. Here's problem number 2. Y'all ready for this one? Exactly, Sandra. I thought the same thing. I guess Thomas is not coming back. They really tried to, they trying to kill this whole, unalive. They're trying to really unalive this whole Thope thing. Problem number 2 with that. Y'all listening? Drop a 1 in the chat if y'all listening. You know what? Before I say my number 2, which is going to get you guys thinking, I want y'all to hit that like button before I drop this other bombshell that I thought about. And you guys might have thought about it too. But I'm going to sit back, take a second, hit that like button for me before I drop bombshell number 2. So I'm going to give y'all a couple of seconds. Because, yes, give me some 1s. I want to know y'all listening. Yes. I'm going to drop bomb. Let me see how many likes I got. I only got 33 likes. Give me up to 55 likes, and I'm going to drop this second bombshell. If you haven't hit it. Because something else struck me very interesting about all of this. There we go. Keep it going. We have 40. Give me up to 55 likes. I'm going to drop this second bombshell. Let me see. Mari said I'm gonna put some likes and some thumbnails, some thumbs in the chat. She is funny. Okay. Cause I don't wanna. I know y'all trying to hold out, but let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Because I know y'all that's talking, y'all probably gave y'all likes already. All right. Here's bombshell number 2. During the time that the Thope and the Rome scene was happening, Carter was in a relationship with Katie Logan. So Carter, you got some answers to give me, which is, why were you thinking about your girlfriend's niece when you were in a relationship with Katie at that time? Let me say that one more time. Carter, you claimed that you were looking at her and thinking how beautiful she was in Rome. Why were you looking at your girlfriend's niece at that time? What do y'all think about that? I mean, he was in a whole relationship with Katie at that time. Because she had broke up with Bill, or that whole thing was in the spring of 2023 when Bill tried to get with both Katie and Brooke. And Katie took off with Carter because that's when they had started the beginning of the relationship. They didn't break up until early this year. Yeah, why? I mean, so you were Googling eyes. You were emotionally cheating with her niece, Carter? Answer me that. Yeah. See, writers, if you're gonna throw that in there, that I didn't like that. And see, my thing is they didn't need to do that scene. First of all, you cut Thomas out of there, which is a dagger to the Thope fans, and made that scene all about Carter. And then you want us to believe that he had feelings for her back in Rome while he was dating her aunt. So yeah, writers, you can miss me with that one. Maybe you should have just left that out. I would have been okay with it by him saying, I saw how things after your breakup happened. And I really see how beautiful you are after that point. But y'all thought y'all were doing something by taking us back to Rome, which was in July of 2023. We ain't stupid, okay? I mean, seriously, they didn't even have to put that in there. They could have brought his attraction, just say, over the last 4 or 5 months. You know what I mean? Or even in the last 3 months or so. I've been finding you attractive lately, and I remember this and that back in the summer. No, you took it all the way back to Rome. And then you cut Thomas out the scene. Okay. When that scene was all about Thomas and Hope. I know, Aisha, they trying to play us. Oh, man. Listen, Gail, we don't even know why they broke up. All we know is back in the summer when this whole Poppy thing was going on with Bill, Katie started sniffing around Bill, and they gave us this whole thing. Well, we just ended up as friends. Da 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 da. But I can guarantee you this much: it didn't happen in 2023. They were in a relationship in 2023. So, yeah, you messed up with that one, writers. You messed up with that one. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. TPT don't know that. Girl, listen, that's what we try to do over here. We're going to call out the writers. They didn't need to put that in there. Leave Thomas and Hope alone. That's history that we always have hope for. But y'all recreate that whole scene and not make it about Thope, but make it about Carter. And you could at least come up with something else. I know, Tanisha, they're trying to let us forget about Thomas and Hope, but that's the only time Hope was interesting. Exactly. Hope and Carter keep saying he was easy to talk to over the year. We've never seen. Exactly, Angela. We have never seen them had any conversations like that. We did see them at the house with the Romalattis because they were standing next to each other. That was right after I did the spoiler. I think it was September the 10th or 11th or whatever. And that news came out that Hope was getting a new man. And I did that whole standalone video. And then the next thing we know, when Danny Romalatti came over there when Hope was trying to kiss Finn, there was a scene where we saw those two talking to each other, but I'm like, okay, y'all trying to throw little breadcrumbs out there. So, yeah, they trying to recreate history. Why would you take that from Thope, though? I would have rather for him maybe to go back to the fashion show at the end of 2022. Now, granted, Thomas and Hope wasn't in a relationship at that time. Thomas was just infatuated. They could have pulled that. I remember seeing you on the runway. And that was also before Katie and him got into a relationship. And he could have said, before I met Katie, I always thought you was cute too. But I know you were, but she was married at the time. So I guess we couldn't use that because she was married with Liam back in, the fall of 2022 with her fashion show. But it is a soap. He could have had thoughts and kept them to himself. I don't know. But it's just, I hope Matt Atkinson didn't quit. I hope he's not gone. I hope he's not fired. It just sucked that they did that today. I did not like that at all. And I did not like the timeline on it because he was in a relationship with Katie. But you were saying you had feelings at that time watching her in Rome. Nah. Writers, you messed that one up. You messed it up. Oh, really, Melissa? Well, I guess we'll have to see if that's the case, whether they get engaged or not. Remember, she was the one earlier this year saying that she didn't want to get married. But anything is subject to change. Maybe she just didn't want to marry Thomas. Because she'd been married before. I think she was married to Wyatt. She was married to Liam. And maybe she just didn't want to get married to. Maybe the timing was off. Now she's ready to get married. If she does get married to Carter, they tried, just like those kisses went out the window with, Liam and Steffy. They're really trying to make us forget about Thope. And I think Thope was the best storyline that they had because Annika and Matt Atkinson did that storyline so well together. So, yeah, I saw that. I couldn't wait to talk to you guys about that because I'm like, writers, you think we're stupid, huh? Don't you? You just want us to forget about Thomas and Hope, huh? And you're going to use Carter and take that scene away from Thope and give it to Carter? Guys, if you can, I don't know if... I do know that in some places you can watch it on YouTube, or if you record your videos, go back and take a look at that scene on today's episode in Rome about his flashback to Hope. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, all right, you guys, we had another great one. Stay tuned. We're going to talk further. We know Bree going to have a lot to say, too, about everything over this past week. We got our weekly chat tonight. Stay tuned for that. And, we had a ball last week. Oh, we was talking all types of stuff last week. Y'all really enjoyed it. So, yeah, hopefully we'll have just as much fun tonight. And, I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you're notified every time a video is posted. I'm T from Soap Corner Talk. Until the next one, we'll see you all later. Bye, Soapies.